to establish myself as America's top entrepreneur mentor. But before that, I want to establish myself as America's #1 expert at helping high achievers find their deepest area of genius.
We know that it's important to figure out like your unique talents so that you know what you're good at, you know what you're not good at. But how do you effectively find those people to backfill and to take over the things that you're not good at? Because you thought you were setting yourself up, but obviously didn't work out so well. So how do you find those A players that you could really help you?
Yeah, so now in my hiring process, like I think I've got one of the best recruiting processes of A players I've ever seen. And our mutual friend Natasha, was asking, hey, Mike, how do you attract these A players? Your team is in sync. I love your team. And I'm grateful for my team. But I also am very intentional about creating space for them to play to their genius. And because of that, they're more fulfilled, they're more alive, they're more excited about their brand and about what we're doing. And so I start from the beginning. I intentionally designed the job ad to speak to the strengths I need in that role. So if I'm writing, for example, a job ad for someone that's really detail oriented and really administratively gifted, because I'm not so administratively gifted, then I need to have the language and have the thought patterns and even look at some of the personality tests and what will indicate that they are gifted in this way. And then give them a little micro test. I give micro tests typically before I hire someone to see how good they are at that. And do they actually follow through? Are they men or women of their word? Do they show up on time? They complete things on time? And then also, like when it's almost like it's almost like I'm in the special forces and I have those seeing night goggles where I can see things that others can't see. Because I can see patterns, I can see people's strengths, especially once I know certain data details. Now it's almost like patterns pop like popcorn for me. And so as I'm building this next chapter of my entrepreneurial career, man, I'm building my next, what I think will be a $100 million plus business. And I'm looking at the team and making sure I got the A players. A players, they need to be led, not managed. And they'll show their colors if you know how to evaluate and test. And I bat about 70%. And then when I help others, optimize their hiring process, and both, the first thing is figure out what your genius is as the business owner, mm-hmm. and then design the people you bring on around your strengths and weaknesses.
After you, and I want to go through like sort of each of these 4 key areas, because I think they all have merit to just sort of like dive a little bit deeper into them. So you've established your A players, you have a process of tests, you let them, you lead them, you don't manage them, you give them a little bit of control over how they're going to execute, and that's sort of how you get the best out of them.
Actually, a lot of control generally.
A lot of control. So you're really, this is why it's so important to figure out the process when you're bringing people in, because once they're in, then you let them like do their best work on their own. The second component, if you want to add more, that's fine. But the second component I wanted to touch on is key relationships. So how do you build these key relationships? How do you foster these key relationships? How do you, what is the point of having these relationships in respect to zone of genius? Is it a mentor relationship? Is it a business relationship, peer relationship that they're going to open doors for you and get you in front of the right people? What do you mean by key relationships?
So there's a lot of different things that it can mean. So in fact, tomorrow I'm teaching a workshop, and I'm going to be doing monthly workshops on the Dream 100. And I've bought the domain dream100list.com. Have you heard of a Dream 100 list from like Chet Holmes and Russell Brunson?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So you think of a couple things in key relationships. First, who brings you life versus who brings you death. Second, where do I already have a natural, like just unusual amount of relationships? Like I'm friends with the author that sold more books than anyone else in the world. History, Mark Victor Hansen. So I'm friends with that guy. right? I'm friends with 30 other best-selling authors that have, sold millions of copies of books. That, how do I get friends with these guys? I didn't even have a book out. I have one book out now. So like that's a little weird, and I love being around those guys more than I love being around the guys in the real estate industry. Mm-hmm. I was driven. I felt I lit up. I felt inspired by being around those types of people. So that was a clue. And then if I look at the next layer strategically, how do I build great key relationships? All right, where do I want to go? I know where I want to go. I want to establish myself as America's top entrepreneur mentor. But before that, I want to establish myself as America's #1 expert at helping high achievers find their deepest area of genius. So now I'm looking at, all right, who already has an audience of my ideal 4% client, the people that I most want to reach. Oh, Russell Brunson, John Lee Dumas, et cetera, et cetera. We go through the Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi, Craig Ballantyne. I just got booked for his podcast today. So you go through that list of like, oh, these are the people that I really want to be around. And they already have an audience of hundreds of thousands or millions of emails, subscribers. And then now I'm going to build that relationship with those people on my Dream 100. And then, so that's actually, I wanted to just reiterate a point you made. So there's a lot of tactical things that these relationships, these Dream 100 will give you in your aspirations, wherever you want to take your business or otherwise. But I think that the one thing that you mentioned that is potentially, I don't want it to be overlooked, is that they give you energy. These are the people that give you energy. That is like so undervalued. I think that's so important, because you said, like, listen, being in a room full of, multi-million and potentially billion-dollar real estate developers is not a bad room to be in by any means. Mm-hmm. They're going to get you in a lot of doors. They're going to make you probably very successful if you build that network out. But if it's not giving you energy, it doesn't matter. It's not what you're meant to do. And that's actually very, very telling. That's something that I think a lot of people should take into account when they start to look for the next thing, the next job, whatever. Is it giving you energy, or is it like it feels like a weight on you? And if it feels like a weight, that's not it. Yeah, that your body doesn't lie. Think of why does the FBI do a lie detector test on your body, not on your words? You can lie through your mouth all day. It's only 7% of communication. But lying through your body, it's really freaking hard. Your body will tell you who you want to spend time with. And anyway, so yeah, there's clues right there that also it points you to your destiny, points you to your calling, points you to your purpose, points you even to your pathway to profit. It's not going to be a smooth ride to get to your full pathway to profit, but it's there.